actually is the lead play in our offense. Yes, our YN or a tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet. Get an isolation with the linebacker. Tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here. And try to run this play in the alley.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. You can find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. I'm joined alongside Tim, live in Green Bay. Just woke up from a nap. My man said Miss G woke him up with a cup of coffee. Said, "Hey, get down there. You're supposed to be live."
It ain't Christmas time. Quit being lazy. It's not Christmas Day. You can't lay around anymore.
Funny
I
game.
dozed off. I had a nice dinner, and then I dozed off like an old geezer, man.
I hear that, man. I hear that. All right, let's go to the chat real quick before we get into some. We got a power packed show tonight, man. I'm hoping we can get to everything. We may go rapid fire, but Chris in the chat said, "Hey Clayton, hope your Christmas was awesome. I just listened to Pack Daddy's pod today on Jair and Matt LaFleur. Unfortunately, I agree 100. I'm hoping you listen to it. I'd love to hear your thoughts tonight." And he said, "And Tim's thoughts too." Of course, I asked Chris. I think Chris is actually on the live stream, on the other live stream in that chat. Maybe he'll come back and answer that question. But I asked what Ryan said because I didn't get a chance to listen to the pod. We had family leave today. I'm running errands. Things are crazy. So hopefully get caught up on that tomorrow. So, Chris, when you hear this, let us know what he was saying, and I'd love to hear that take too. Let's see. Mark in the chat says, "Hi Posse, missed the morning show live, but caught up later. I think we got that deja vu nightmare all over again. We threw the bank at AR-12 in 22, and he talked poopy all season. Then Goody traded him. Then Mark went on to say, we threw the bank at Ja in 2023, and now he's repeating the same process. He will spend a week of darkness this spring, and Goody will have him traded for a third rounder and some picks." There you go. All right. Mark has chimed in. He went on to say, Jair will be gone in 2024. Joe Barry will be gone, and Matt LaFleur builds the defense he wants to complement his offense. He has. Man, that's pretty deep. Pretty deep, Mark. Watch it all come to fruition, Tim. That'd be funny, wouldn't it?
I don't know, man. We'll see. You never know. You never know. Stranger things have happened in the NFL, right?
Oh, yeah. Robert Allen in the chat said, "No one's talking about the fact the Packers' offense first half was efficient. Second half, not so much. Packers defense, one half not terrible, two half atrocious. Seems like the adjustments made favor Panthers coaching." Yeah, that's something else that kind of got swept under the rug a bit was I don't think we scored a single point in the third quarter, if I remember right.
We had a handful of 3-and-outs in that third quarter for sure.
Yeah, it was a tough start to the second half, but nonetheless, still got the job done, man. Still got the job done. And a win is a win. I know it doesn't feel like a win to most fans. I was listening to Wildy and Tausch earlier, which they had Gary Ellerson in for Tauscher. Since we're already on this subject, before we move on, let's get Gary Ellerson's take on this, Tim, real quick. He was, like I said, on Wildy and Tausch. He's been pretty vocal about Jair, and there was a lot more to this conversation than just this clip. So you guys should go listen to it and give it, like I said, I think it was the second or third hour of the show. When they actually dove into the Jair thing, he kept teasing it all episode long. Wildy did, kept on coming back. It seemed like there were 75 advertisements, and then they finally talked about Jair. But here's what former Green Bay Packer running back Gary Ellerson had to say.
Sides there, though, right? I think you're right about your story about being back in Madison, and we all knew that he was a Charlotte native. I mentioned it leading into the game, and I'll be honest, when he went out there for the coin toss, that made perfect sense because he is from there. I would have never thought that he did that like on his own, unannounced, without having been told, "Hey, you're a captain today." He's like, what's that Captain Phillips movie, Jesse? I am the captain now.
I am the captain now. Look at me.
But again, it does also speak to the word I used earlier. That's a lack of respect headed toward the coach too. Like, to do that on your own tells you what you think of the coach. Now, you have every right to be irritated that you weren't selected and that it was Eric Wilson, Quay Walker, and Aaron Jones that were the game captains. You can be offended by that. I'm not saying you can't. But to take matters into your own hands, and then, if you're going to do it, to go out there and screw it up and have the official have to say, you mean defer, right? Yeah, whatever. And everyone's laughing at you because you don't realize what you were supposed to do there. That's a totally different issue. And an additional layer to this story.
Not even that. Another layer, Jason, the captains that were out there, if they were complicit in that happening, they're laughing about him being out there, knowing that he doesn't supposed to be there.
Right.
So now you start to get real leadership in that locker room. Who's going to step to Jair and say, dude, go back to the sideline. You don't supposed to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So that also speaks to some sort of undercurrent inside that locker room where is your true, real leaders inside that locker room to check Jair from doing that?
Yep. All right.
Because Jair said those guys, those guys, they got my back. What?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then for him to be joking about it afterward, and he apparently didn't know the rules. Like, I don't know how he has to have been a captain previously for him not to realize that or to not care and to just be wanting to be creative. I want my defense out there. No, that's not what you're supposed to say. It's funny to talk about right after the game, but when you stop, and I don't know, again, I wasn't in Charlotte, and I didn't even know about this until Pete Doherty from the Green Bay Press-Gazette asked about it in LaFleur's press conference after the game. It's all fun and games, but when you start to think about it more critically, it ain't fun and games. It says a lot about where this team is at, and that is a concern, or at least says a lot about where Jair Alexander is at and where the relationship with him and LaFleur and the other issues that are going on there are at. All right, we want to get to...
All right, there you go. So you now have several different Packer players, former Packer players that have commented on it, right? You have, obviously, you got Gary Ellerson there commenting on it. You have Mike Wall comment, not on the coin toss fiasco, but him in the presser saying, we just run the play that's called, basically saying, it was a bad play call. So I don't know how the listeners feel. I don't know how you feel, Tim. I put a lot of stock in when former players speak out on locker room issues. It's one thing to have a podcast host, go on a tangent and say, oh, it's not that big of a deal. What do you guys are blowing this out of proportion. It's like, okay, how many NFL locker rooms have you been in? Okay,
right.
Zero. Same as me, 0. Yep. So we're going to pretend like we understand that dynamic better than multiple former players, not just former players at a collegiate level, but at the pro level, not just former players at the pro level, but former Packer players, and understanding what that locker room is supposed to look like. So I don't know. What do you think about what Gary said there, man?
I agree. And I think that you hit it on the head, man. That's the perspective that we get from a former player. Like Gary Ellerson looks at it from we're looking at it from 2 points of view. Gary Ellerson brings in this third point of view, like, hey, why didn't Quay turn to him, or why didn't Aaron Jones turn to him and say, hey, what are you doing? Or who's stepping up in this locker room that's going to check. It's not even so much about checking Jair and picking on a player. It's about checking that behavior. Like, hey, we don't do that in this locker room. And, you're getting that perspective from a former player who's kind of got an eye for this and has probably been in locker rooms similar in his past. So, yeah, I think it's excellent perspective. And, while we're on it, United Bates, thank you for the super chat. I mean, I've been saying this for a while. We need permanent captains, something to strive for as a young player, and gives respect to those who have stepped up and who have stepped up and earned it. It's a coveted position. It can affect play on the field, and going back to Ellerson's comments about, who's checking that behavior, who's checking Jair when he says that. I don't know. This is pure speculation, but was it Rasul Douglas? And Rasul got, we got an offer we couldn't refuse magically. And Rasul's not here because he seems to be like the caliber of player that would be willing to go alpha on alpha and meet that kind of stuff head on. I wonder if that was going on in the locker room. Who knows? But I do know that it's no secret that since that trade happened, there has been questionable leadership especially on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, you just got to say it.
Yeah, it was like clockwork, Tim.
Yep.
The second they traded him, bang, here it all comes.
Yep.
United Bates, what Tim was referring to, United Bates with the super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. He said, in my opinion, Packers need permanent captains. It's something to strive for as a young player and gives respect to those who have stepped up. What's crazy is this is the whole topping on the cake right here, if you will. Last year, we had permanent captains, and Jair threw a fit because his teammates didn't vote him as a team captain. And there were multiple people, and I respect everybody's opinion, but there were multiple people. And Bates, I agree with you, just for the record. Multiple people said it's stupid having captains. That's just silly. You shouldn't. If you allow the players to vote on it, then you create this opportunity for people to get upset. Well, that's to me that's a response from a participation trophy society. Oh. Like, you earn that respect. You show your teammates, hey, look, I'm a guy you can turn to. I'm the one who's going to put in the work. I'm the one who's going to play hurt. I'm the one who's going to lead by example. I'm the one who's going to be in the building longer than anyone. I'm the one who's going to be lockstep with the coaching staff. All those things. All I can think about when people keep making excuses for Jair in this situation, people who, might I add, are not former players, I think of, imagine if Reggie White was in that locker room and somebody pulled that. How do you think Reggie White would have responded? You think he would have been laughing out there on the field?
Nope.
Think about Leroy Butler, which, by the way, him and Gary Ellerson are thick as thieves, man. They're very, very good friends, very good friends. So I'm sure Leroy echoes the same thing that Gary does or similar to it.
And I'm willing to bet a guy like Reggie or Leroy probably has that conversation one-on-one. Probably grabs job before practice or something, or after the game before we get, out of the tunnel and into the locker room. Let's step off to the side and let's have a little mano-a-mano conversation. But sometimes this stuff does need to be addressed also in front of the team too. When you have honesty is always the best policy. And if you just air it all out in that environment, everyone's there, you get rid of that elephant in the room, so to speak, and you just deal with it. And, guys can respond, and you have to see that in Jair too. We have to give him the ability to make changes or adjust his attitude or, change his approach and be that leader that, quite frankly, we're paying him to be and, be the leader on this team that this defense really needs right now and deserves. So, like I said, leadership comes in different forms. And I think right now we're just not we're not vibing well with Ja's style of leadership. I'm sure Ja's heart is in the right place. But I just think it's this execution is not it's not the move right now in this locker room. And it's kind of hard because he's one of the few veterans back there. I mean, let's be real. Ja's a vet now. He's still a young man, but he's a veteran player in the NFL.
He is the veteran in the secondary room.
That's right.
Now that Sewell's gone.
That's right.
And that's the example you're setting is just mind-boggling. You guys remember him and Aaron got into it a little bit last year too. Aaron actually spoke out on Ja because Ja was being negative in the media, talking about not winning, talking about losing this and that. And Aaron was like, "Hey, look, we don't need to do
that loser mentality stuff." Yeah,
exactly. So you had a little bit. I mean, it's just if every time you look up, there's one person that's kind of stirring the pot. Sooner or later, you're going to have to acknowledge or at least, address it. You don't have to acknowledge it in public, and maybe they are addressing it, right? Like I was telling Tim offline, Jair put his very first post up on Instagram since scrubbing his Instagram account. And it's like several pictures. The very first picture, him at the coin toss, okay? ironically, right? You know, imagine if he didn't mean anything by it and like, oh crap, I stirred up a bunch of crap. And then you go on social media and post a picture of you at the coin toss. But also within those pictures was a picture of him and Matt LaFleur fist bumping on the field. So it's like, okay, maybe that's him trying to send a message like, look, there ain't nothing between me and the coach. We're good. It's just Wildy came out again today and made another comment and said, I think it was Gary said, Jason, why don't Matt go to Jair and just talk about this and get it all ironed out? And Wildy knows what he's talking about, guys. Whether you like his approach or the fact that he, will be the first to tell you he's not a Packer fan, that has nothing to do with the fact that the former players, Mike Wall was like, Wildy's real deal. That's what he told me. He's like, Clayton, if Wildy said it, it's true. He's not a BSer. He's been there since 96. Does he like the dramatic? Absolutely. I'll never forget Mike McCarthy saying, I'm not in the mood for drama today, Jason. I'll never forget that at the presser back in the day, which Mike had all kinds of great one-liners for sure. But nonetheless, he said today when Gary said, well, why don't Matt go to him and try to get this under control? Wildy said he has went to Ja. And he said, the vibe I've gotten is Ja just ignores him. And then Ja goes out in the media and says, I don't talk to the coach much. Like that, it feels like he wants out. That's just me on the surface, strictly speculation. But it kind of feels like Ja's like, okay, this has run its course. I want out. And like you talked about, it kind of started after Sewell got traded. Chad Inc. said, I agree, Bates. Bates, again, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Let's see, your sideline report said the defense was bailed out by the clock. They needed 2 more seconds to tie the game. A 2-win rookie struggling quarterback-led team only needs 21 seconds to drive into field goal range. Absolutely pathetic. Fire Joe Barry. Yeah. I can't help but say it. You ran man coverage 64% of the time, and Ja got burnt. He got cooked. Agreed. Joe Barry's time is done. I'm with you, bub. But the whole, this is only Joe Barry's issue. Whew, I think we're going to look up, in a couple years, if you don't make the right hire, you're going to go, well, crap, it's this guy's fault too,
Right.
Or you get a hold of this defensive locker room because the offense is cooking. And that's the thing too, like we forgot, and they talked about it earlier. Someone called in on Wildy's show and Wildy said, hold up, because he's talking about how the defense is just dragging everything down. It's like he talked about dragging them down all year, and he went, that's not true. Like the first half of the season, it was the other way around. The defense was carrying the load, and the offense was struggling. As soon as the offense gets everything together, now the defense is falling off. Kind of makes you think, is Coach LaFleur behind the scenes kind of putting, okay, I need to put emphasis on this. Well, crap, now I got to go over here like the old Three Stooges skit, where they're in the boat and they get water in the boat. The boat starts leaking. Like, well, let's drill another hole and get this water out of the boat. And obviously it fills up even faster. So, yeah. It's interesting, man. It's interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see what kind of hire they make in the offseason if indeed Joe Barry is gone. If you guys would hit that like button for us so other Packer fans can find this podcast, find this content. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us here this evening. Eric Sutherland said, I'm ready for 6 months of mock drafts at this point. Pretty much sums it up. It's coming like a freight train. It's coming like a freight train, Eric. It'll be here in no time. Zane Strong says, what's the problem with Alexander going to the coin toss? Is there an amount of players that's allowed to go on the field, or can you put as many guys as you want? We should put the whole team out there. I don't know if there's a limit. I'm sure there is some kind of rule for the limit, or else I'm sure there would have been a team in the past that would have, walked out there together as a team to show unity or whatever. So I'm sure there is a limit. But the problem is your coaching staff picked the 3 captains. So they picked the 3 captains, and Jair disagreed with the captains is really what it comes down to. So that's the problem you have with it, Zane. And like Gary pointed out, the players laughing about it like it wasn't a big deal. Maybe it's not a big deal to the floor. I don't know, but just weird. It's weird. Watch football a long time. Never seen that happen. Greg Ross in the chat says, Douglas appeared to be a team player. The other players seem to love him. I don't know if the same can be said about Ja now. Yeah, don't want to speculate, Greg. Could be the case. Not that you're speculating, but yeah, could be the case, man. Maybe they don't look to him as a leader, right? It definitely could be the case. Omer in the chat says, can't undermine the coach, and the coach needs to put him in place after his teammates have. Yeah, I don't know, man. You expect a leader within that locker room to step up. Nobody's really done it on the defensive side of the ball. But when it comes to mine, for me, it's real simple. It's Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark would probably have more pull than anyone. Typically, the loudest person in the room has the least amount to say, right? And when someone, I've heard multiple players talk about this in the past. I think AJ Hawk talked about on the McAfee show, when a quiet player speaks up, everybody listens because he hasn't beat it into the ground. It ain't, oh, here goes rah-rah again. That was a problem with Mike Daniels. Although we all love Mike Daniels, I know when he was here, he was just always like that. So it just kind of gets old. If Kenny Clark were to step up and speak, he's been there probably longer than anyone. He has, right? He's been there longer than anyone on the defensive side, I believe. And the fact that he's kind of that quiet leader, if he stepped up and said something, I bet people would listen. I just don't know how Ja would take it, But Robert Allen says Za'Darius was pissed when he wasn't voted captain also, and see what that got him. Yeah. History dictates he may be on his way out, right? Nate Rauner says this shows that Jair does not respect Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur should have sat his arse on the bench for the rest of the game at a bare minimum for the insubordination. It's on Matt LaFleur to enforce discipline. Someone else said it. They called into the Wildy show, Tim. This one cracked me up. They called in, and I was like, that would probably send the message. Called in and said, what I would do is name him team captain, let him go out and do the toss for the Sunday, and then set him on the bench the rest of the game. I was like, there, you happy? You got what you wanted.
We could have sat his booty on the bench for getting torched in the slot. Coin toss aside.
Forget the coin toss.
Yeah, less than stellar performance out there. So what would speak volumes, though, you're right, is can you imagine this in a theoretical world here if like all of a sudden Ja got real quiet and he put his head down and he grinded and you started to see him making plays and there was a lot less of the talk, a little dose of Bane Gary in there and he was just all business. I'll tell you what, leave that talking for the field, go out and school someone on the field and then, talk your talk, Jair, after you're shutting somebody down. But save it for the post game and the pregame and the interviews and, say no comment or, be real clean and professional about it. That would speak volumes, because sometimes that's like you said, the loudest person doesn't always have the most to say. And sometimes it's the quietest one in the room, who can speak up and speak volumes. Can you imagine someone who's normally vocal all of a sudden getting real quiet and real focused? That would send a ripple effect through that cornerback's room for sure, I think.
Yeah. I see Chris Enns back in the chat. He said Clayton, so maybe he's typing something. Hopefully he'll explain to us what Ryan was talking about in his pod and kind of give us his perspective there. John Schmidt in the chat said, that's the question. Who's the hire? Everyone agrees Joe Barry has to go. I'm going to say a name that and listen, I'm not saying he's the best candidate. It's just I've started doing a little digging. I'm trying to hold this out until the season's over because there's a chance we make the playoffs. And there's going to be a time real soon where we don't have football. There's going to be plenty of time to talk about this stuff. Well, go look at Chris Hewitt. Chris Hewitt is the passing game coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. I think he's been with them, I want to say it's like 8 or 9 years. Former NFL player, only played 2 years, but former NFL player. You get a little bit of that respect. He's been on the field. He's seen it, right? Not near to the effect of an Ed Reed, which to the best of my knowledge, Ed Reed's not coaching anymore. He coached for 1 year with Buffalo, if my research was correct there. I know a lot of people are saying Al Harris. Al Harris has never been a passing game coordinator. I think that, like I said, Chris Hewitt has worked with the secondary, specifically with Baltimore, for the last 9 years. So go check that out for sure. So, that's the name it's one of the many names that I go, okay, when you hear me talk about everybody's saying go get Mike Zimmer, go get this guy and these established names. And I say, I don't know, I would kind of look like a young, bright mind, right, that's looking to advance himself to a head coaching spot. He hasn't made all those millions of dollars, right? He's hungry. A younger guy like that may connect with the players better than an old crusty guy like Zimmer, right? So just something to keep in mind. I love this idea here. If he had any experience, Jen says Butler for safety coach. Bring in Leroy Butler. They got to get started somewhere. I don't think Leroy is interested in sleeping 4 hours a night, which is kind of what the coaches do. We always see this around, like the coaches are just, oh, he's a bum. They spend more time invested into this than any player ever thought about. That's a fact. They're sleeping at the facility most of the time. Yep. They're putting in all these long hours. That's something that definitely gets swept under the rug for sure.
It's true. And Leroy's given that to us, right? As a player, he's put his time in, a few championships, some legendary moments. Mm-hmm. And I think he likes his position on the board now, right?
Yeah. Hollister jumped in here late, said in all caps, should I scream at Tim or no? No, I better not scream.
Let me turn my volume down. Go ahead.
Someone send a super chat telling them Ja posted on IG today with Coach in it ain't no beef. Hollister, here's a tip, Bubba. We just talked about that. So, welcome to the chat. Appreciate you hanging out.
The soap opera.
Appreciate you producing the show, buddy. You're the man. So let's do this. Jim brung up Leroy Butler, so this is kind of cool. Leroy Butler today, if I remember correctly, was either today or yesterday. Today, right? Yeah. The 30th anniversary of the very first Lambeau leap. So Packers.com put a really cool video out. Let's check it out. This is awesome.
Yep. I love it.
Thirty years ago, we launched an incredible stretch of amazing football at Lambeau Field. We had a team loaded with talent. Mike Holmgren, Brett Favre, Sterling Sharp, Reggie White, and myself. And we were on the cusp of being one of the best teams of the 90s. We just need a boost, a nudge, or something to get us going. That's why I come in. Let me set the stage for you. Oh yeah, you're a big part of the story. I'll get back to you in a minute. December 26, 1993.
Hello everybody, welcome to Lambeau Field.
Lambeau Field was cold, 0 degrees, minus 20 degrees wind chill. Perfect for the boys from sunny LA.
And welcome to football this afternoon between the Green Bay Packers and the Los Angeles Raiders.
We win, and we've got a chance to clinch the first playoff berth for the Packers in 11 years. Say no more.
First and goal at the 1-yard line. Here's Favre on the handoff to Edgar. Touchdown.
Boom, 7-0. Then
the 15 to the 10 to the 5, and he is over the goal line.
Boom again, 14-0. And you know the defense was cooking.
Comes down, and Reggie White said, no, you don't.
The Raiders didn't even know what hit them. We're up 2 scores going into the fourth quarter, looking for the knockout blow. That's when this place delivers.
Holy cow!
So here's where this play really picks up. So as I'm coming down, I see Randy Jordan gets the ball and catches it. I hit him. The ball comes out. I'm like, where's the ball? Where is it? And then all of a sudden I see Bryce pop. Tony Bennett, our 2 linebackers, they were trying to run and they fall because the field was frozen. All of a sudden I see Reggie White. Reggie White comes over here and he's struggling trying to run. He's falling. We call eye contact. And he lateraled me the ball. And then it dawned on me that Mike Holmgren says, if any defensive back get an interception or a fumble, don't lateral the ball. So Reggie wasn't supposed to do that, but it's Reggie White. When I got the ball as a defensive back, because I never score, I'm running down, and then it hit me. What am I gonna do? Something dance, because I did go to Florida State. As I get it right about here, it just pops in my head. I'm gonna jump in the stands. And when I kept going, I threw the ball down. And I jump up into the best fan's arms and get the best hug of all time from the best fans of all time.
It is a touchdown for Leroy Butler.
You worked so hard to get this thing done this year, and we haven't done it easy one time. I am so proud of you, I can't put it into words.
"30 years, it's been a long time, my friend, and this helped launch 3 decades of awesome Lambeau leaps for some of the best Packer players and, of course, the best fans in the business. I'll always say, this is the best way we can show our appreciation to you. We've done it for 30 years, 60, 100 more. To the best fans in the world, to the best place in the world. Happy anniversary, Lambeau Leap. Go Pack Go.
Man, it don't get no better than that, dude.
Leroy Butler for president.
We're sitting there having to talk about people who are upset that they're not a captain and me. And you watch a video like that, and it's like kind of puts things back into perspective. Man.
That play will be burned in my brain. I can close my eyes and watch that play anytime I want. I remember watching that game live. I wasn't there, but I do remember watching it live. And you got to love the era of no challenge flags. As we all know, Big Reg stepped out of bounds right before he lateraled the ball to Leroy on that play. And as we say back in that day, you just dealt with it. And it went in our favor. A good missed call there by the side judge, and ended up being a historic moment. Think about that for a second. If that gets called, what are we talking about here now? 30 years later, I'm sure the Lambeau Leap still would be what it is. But yeah, shout out to Reggie White on that play for being heads up in the moment. It's good to see that Brett Favre wasn't the only one that didn't listen to Holmgren. The old Brett, whatever you do, don't run, don't sneak, and hey, whatever you defensive guys do, don't lateral the ball. Hey man, I'm in the heat of battle. I see my guy. We make eye contact. I love Leroy taking us down the sideline, man, and just explaining that moment and how it all developed. It's just incredible. I mean, he lowered the boom on that hit. I mean, it's no surprise Leroy didn't know where the ball was after he dropped them. So, no, just a classic play, man. Happy anniversary, Packer fans, for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome. Greatest celebration in sports. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, Leroy Butler's one of a kind, man. And
often imitated, never duplicated. I see it's a popular thing to do now in a lot of other stadiums, but that will forever be the Lambeau Leap.
Yeah, for sure. Donovan Schilling in the chat said, my uncles were at that game. Robert Allen said Leroy is on the board now. He has a seat at the table. It's true. It was so cool to see him voted onto the board for sure, because you can just tell how much he loves the organization. Jacob in the chat. What's up, Jacob? Hope you're having a great day at work, brother. He said, crazy scenario I need an answer to. We went out and make the playoffs. We win 2 and then lose after the D plays well enough to win, but maybe Jordan and the offense doesn't show up. Does Joe Barry keep his job? Well, they actually put a poll out on that, Jacob. I don't know if you've seen it or not, brother, but they basically asked Packer fans, which would you rather have happen? Win out and make the playoffs and Joe Barry keeps his job, or lose the last, in the season on a 5-game losing streak, miss the playoffs and fire Joe Barry. And they chose to miss the playoffs and fire Joe Barry. And it was to the tune of like 84%. So,
but this is one step further. Like Jacob's scenario is we win out. I'm assuming that win 2 then lose. So that's to the NFC title game, and we get bounced. We get bounced because the offense finally just has given it all it's had, and it just doesn't have enough.
I'm trying to
put it this way: I don't think there's a scenario on earth that any Packer fan right now thinks Joe Barry keeps his job next year. But
I'm trying to think too. Like I'm trying to think of the way we could put a poll together to ask that question. The way Jacobs kind of structured it, because it would be.
You know what? Maybe we won't. It'll be easier because maybe this will be exactly what happens. I like it because it starts out with we win out and make the playoffs. Let's start with the first part of that. I love that.
Yeah,
then we'll take care of the next game one at a time. See what happens.
Let's beat Minnesota on Sunday. Let's start with that. The poll I put out earlier today, poll question was, Jair Alexander was not named a game day captain by the coaching staff. He ignored it and went to the 50-yard line to call the toss anyways. Do you have a problem with Jair's decision? Comment why you voted the way you did. 57.1% ended up saying yes. 42.9% said no. There was 1,771 votes. So anytime you crack 1,000 votes, you're feeling good about it, right? Now, I had several comments in there going, stop talking about it, quit being negative. It's like, if I'm not allowed to ask Packer fans what they think about a situation, like, how is that being negative? That's what I'm. It's amazing how 1 second I am dubbed too positive and the next second I'm too negative. Funny how that works. But, yeah, so I thought that was an interesting scenario there. I knew that it was going to be close to 50%. But I didn't expect that many people to vote on it, to be honest with you. 1,700 was a really good turnout for that. So, yeah, Jacob, it'd be hard to argue that Joe Barry needs to lose his job if they go on this. People forget the only game he has coached in the playoffs. This is what's wild. The only game he's ever coached in the playoffs as a Packers DC, he only gave up 6 points. 6 points to the Niners. So
what if we win the whole damn thing? then what?
Matt LaFleur retires.
Then what?
Matt LaFleur retires and Joe Barry becomes head coach. Boy, they're oh my God. Could you imagine? Woo! Anyway, we're over here talking fantasy land. He's gone, boys. Let's be real about it. There's about 95% chance Joe Barry's gone. Chris in the chat said, I don't want to interpret Ryan's thoughts incorrectly, which I probably will. You sound like me, buddy. That being said, the latest outburst by Jair is a sign to a much larger issue of Matt LaFleur's lack of leadership. If that's what he said and how he said it, Chris, and I respect the fact that you put that on the front side of that comment there, man. That's the proper way to, everybody needs to go listen to that himself, because Chris is not saying, hey, here's Ryan's take. He's just saying that's his interpretation of it. So go listen to it yourself. I think there's something to be said there. Matt has never been a like hardcore, this is the way it is. When he first came in, I remember that first training camp, Devontae Adams fumbled, and they said he blew the whistle and said, if you do not protect the ball, you will not play for me. And everybody's like, whoa, he's talking about Tay there, right? So that kind of set the tone. But ever since then, one thing you guys know, I defended Aaron Rodgers through a lot, right? I think that I wish it would have gone a different way, if I had it, if I could have picked the scenario, Tim, I wish Aaron would have just retired. It would have helped us with the cap. You wouldn't have had this negative backlash. It's not even, there's really no negative feelings between Rodgers and Goody anymore either. They've both openly talked good about each other. Like, they're cool with it. It is what it is. It's a business. The fans being divided is what I wish we could have avoided. That's the part that sucked to me, is to see people that are so passionate about their team be so divided and go after each other. That was the hard part. But even with that, what I was going to say, the one thing with me kind of defending Rodgers the last couple of years, the one thing that I do think Rodgers did to hurt this team was real simple. He was constantly it was in a joking manner and all fun and everything, but he would kind of put LaFleur down in front of the team. He'd make these little jokes and stuff, right? Yeah. And that is
or say things like, refer to him as Matt. He would do that a lot in the media. Oh, Matt and I. It's like, dude, that's your head coach, man. Like, that's not your bro that you go to the bar with.
Right. We got Jacob in here. Jacob, man, look at this hat you got on, dude. You're always so fly, man. How do you pull this off?
I had to I had to jump on. I was trying to get home early so I started listening to Tim, and I can't tell if I'm caught up yet or not, but are you guys talking about Matt LaFleur still?
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
And I don't want to be off topic. What are we specifically talking about at this point?
We're really kind of commenting on your comment from just a second ago, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Chris Ian, this was the last comment we hit on. Chris Ian said, I don't want to interpret Ryan's thoughts incorrectly, which I probably will, talking about Ryan Schlitt from the pod today. That being said, the latest outburst by Jair is sign to a much larger issue of Matt LaFleur's lack of leadership. So that's kind of the conversation. What's your take on that?
I actually got to I've been way behind, as you guys know. I've been doing, whatever stuff. I actually been doing a binge on everybody's podcast lately. So I did listen to Ryan's podcast and Clayton's and everybody's for the last couple of days today. And what Ryan was saying is that he was kind of highlighting, from what I got from it, is kind of, it's not that he's anti-Jair, but it's almost that he's been so pro-Jair that to hear Jair actually say, like, yeah, I went and I decided that I'm going to go out and do the coin toss, and then I decided that I'm going to make the deferment call, even though I didn't know what the frick I was talking about. And then I walked back to the sidelines, he said, with confidence, knowing that nobody's going to call me out. Why would they?
Right.
And then he referenced Mike Wall specifically and said, well, like, basically Mike Wall saying, if you don't understand that now that you have a leadership issue, it's not that it's what did he say? He said it's not the fact that you have a leadership issue, or you're gonna have it, or you already have one or it's gonna happen.
I got it right here. He said, here's the thing.
All right.
When your big money guys are in the locker room talking down about the plan or the calls, and they're out there making themselves a captain, you have an authority problem, or you're about to have an authority problem.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah. We touched on that too, kind of when this all came out, that it kind of says more about what's going on with this staff in these players than it does really about Jair. I've always said this. One thing Jair has been is consistent. He's been consistently Jair throughout this whole process.
Hey, that's a fact.
And, and I don't, the only difference we see now, like we said, is it's not happening on the field. So that's why this stuff is really tough to deal with as a fan, and I'm sure it's tough for a coach to deal with too. But, respect is earned, not given. And there's various ways to do that. And it's a delicate dance when you're a coach and you've got young athletes making, millions of dollars playing a game. It's tough to rein that in, but it's true. All of this it just points to, the disconnect that's happening within this locker room, between the coaching staff and at least some of the players, it appears, Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw, did you see, I think it was 2 games ago, maybe. It might have been the Buffalo game or the Giants game. I mean, Carrington Valentine made a routine kind of PBU kind of play, and he got up and he did the the Jair
right
celebration and everything, and I had this reaction like, oh, it's like Jair's kind of rubbing off on these guys, and then my first thought was like, wait, is that good?
Oh crap!
Like, is that good? Because here's a rookie, I mean, I'm old school. I'm Vince Lombardi school of thought. Act like you've been there before. I know that's a controversial place to be right now, in going into 2024. But I mean, seriously, man, sometimes all the flash it's not worth it, or save it for those big moments. Not a routine stop on 2nd and 6. So I don't know.
Definitely. I know what you're laughing at. Eric Sutherland said, "Jacob, you beautiful bastard, you."
There you go. First of all, Clayton, you laughed at Tim. I'm trying to be professional here.
First of all, you gutter-minded co-hosts. I already know what you're. I already know.
Hold on. That wasn't why I was laughing. Well, hold on. What did you guys think?
That's what I got from it.
Well, because I was laughing because
you said Jair.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jacob.
That he rubbed off on some guys. And,
oh no! Now you guys need to get your head out of the gutter.
Just saying.
That's what she said.
So, no, what I was laughing at is because the way Tim explained it was exactly how I experienced it. Like, he did the whole thing. Twitter blew up, and it's like, "Oh, y'all need to shut up. It's obvious Jair's helping these guys, and they love him, and blah blah blah." And then I'm going, "Well, they seem like they're on board." Wait a minute. I don't know if that's good. That's exactly how I responded.
It seems like, oh yeah, these guys are focused. They're focused on everything but the right thing right now. It seems like.
I don't like any celebrating when you're hot doo-doo. Like, they are not playing well right now.
Yeah.
You did your job, okay? Yeah, you stopped they tried to complete a pass on 2nd down and it fell incomplete. You didn't get your hand on the ball, but hey, jump up and hey, look at us.
Well, so did you guys actually listen to Ryan's pod today? I mean, he went in pretty hard on Jair.
I need to listen to it. I haven't got a chance to listen to it yet.
And he basically did. I mean, he went in hard, kind of like as if you have the audacity. Basically, what he did is he put himself into what he would have done if he was Matt LaFleur. When he walked back off that sideline, I've never heard Ryan swear, but he
let it fly.
It was the equivalent of him dropping F-bombs as he kept saying, "You and this F and this and F and that." Like, that's as much as I've ever heard. It's like when your grandma drops an H-bomb and you're like,
"Here I come."
It was shocking. So I could tell that somebody, he has a fire lit underneath him. I've been with Brian 5-6 years now. I don't think I've ever heard him actually swear unless he was kidding. I heard him get amped up, and he was ready to go. And
Ryan's like one of the most level-headed guys when it comes to this type of stuff.
He is, and honestly, I think we have a great fan base or a great polarization because it's between what Facebook group has decided that there's Clayton's podcast and there's Ryan's podcast. And then there's a couple of them peppered in between. And I think that's stupid because both of them just look at the facts. But it is just, I feel like fan bases decide either they're going to follow a certain line of quote unquote analytics or a certain line of, I don't know, whatever. Ryan's more of like a commentator kind of thing. But you just always have that group of people that are just going to find a way to be negative. And then you have that segue group of people that are just always going to find a way to be Packer fans. And I feel like that's the people that we're kind of focusing on right now, because those are the opinions that I'm kind of latching onto. Like, I don't want to look on either extremes of the situation of like we have to fire Joe Barry. Like I'm now on that team. You guys have known I've dug my feet in the ground. Clayton's been very great at showing like, hey, right now it's not necessarily the scheme that's, going down the pooper. It's the fact that these guys, they seem like they're just up there like flying kites. They're, taking pictures out there on the
going rogue.
They're going rogue and they're literally making decisions for themselves. So at that same vantage point, I look at that and say, well, that's then on the coach, right? Because Clayton is a business owner. I could
on
talk
the
about
coaching, on the coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, or I should say leadership maybe is a better way of addressing it. Because like Clayton, you're a business owner, right? You own like what is it, 8 or 7 businesses?
No, not that many, but yeah,
3 or 4
multiple businesses. Yeah.
Legit.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So like if at any moment, if an employee of yours walked into that day and they're like, hey, you know what? I ain't working the register today. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to go back in the back and I'm going to start making Facebook posts and I'm going to actually like make the business worse because I'm here today. What are you going to do, Clayton?
All right. It goes for anything. Like, look at the business you're in, Jacob, right? Look at the business you've been in, Tim. Anything. You don't even you don't have to be an owner to understand that, like, I've worked many jobs before I became self-employed. I know what it's like to be the way I always looked at it when I went into work was I'm going to put myself in the owner's shoes. What can I do to make his life easier today? And if he's a good human being, he's going to make my life better for it. If I realize in a short period of time he's not going to make my life better, then I will respectfully move on to the next opportunity, right? That's kind of how the way I approached it.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you've got someone, I'm trying to think of the equivalent, just an everyday job, whatever it may be. And you've got an employee that says, you know what? I'm not going to talk to my employer. I'm not going to talk to the manager. I don't care. And when they come to me, I'm just going to shun them and act like I don't hear them. I'm going to be a little child, right? I'm going to, miss time because I'm sick or hurt, right? Sometimes you can't help that. So that's we know it's not intentional. I don't think anyone's saying Jair has faked an injury. I've not heard anyone say that. I've heard people kind of skate around the issue, but I don't think Jair's faked an injury. I don't believe. I refuse to believe it. But if you miss time, as an employee, if I miss time because I'm out with a sickness that was supposed to, hey, I should be over it in a couple of days, and it lasts for a week or two. As an employee, just me, I'm feeling like, man, I'm letting them down. Like I gotta do something to help. Maybe it's something behind the scenes, like be a leader. He's done the opposite. He's missed this time, and he's continuing to make. This isn't the first time he's created a distraction this year. It's not. It's not the first time he created a distraction before this year either. Like he did it last year with the whole captain's thing. So yeah, Jacob, I think you make a good point there, man. And it's, I think what it comes down to is a thing called social IQ. That's just me. It doesn't mean someone's stupid. It just means they're unaware of the perception they're putting off to other people. And like I said on the earlier show, caring too much about what people think is a bad thing. Not caring what people think at all is a bad thing.
Yep.
There's a happy medium that needs to be met for someone to be successful or have a successful organization.
And I think it's social IQ of your fan base and where you are. Jair Alexander, we wanted a Jair. We wanted somebody that was a very, like a kind of not quite a showboater, but somebody that backed it up. We want a guy that talks smack that can back it up. We want a Leroy Butler. We want a Charles Woodson.
Yes.
We want a showcase prime time Deion Sanders athlete. We don't want and I shouldn't say him. We don't want somebody that talks smack and that doesn't back it up on the field. We don't want it's the equivalent of having like if Jair was dating what's her face? Taylor Swift. Like we don't want a distraction. We want What?
Oh man, it's just funny. I just
Jair would never date Taylor
I just immediately I got to hit you with it real quick. Let me find it here. I know we got it here somewhere. Where's it at? Boom.
I don't listen too much Taylor Swift.
No, but I'm in a Madden modding community, right? And I've been trying to contribute a little bit to that because they do awesome stuff with Madden, like customizing the game and everything on PC. And the reason I started laughing was because today someone added in a mod where they've got female refs now, right, in real life and on the game. They put Taylor Swift in as one of the sideline refs. I was crying, man. I was just like, you guys are so damn toxic. I love it. But yeah, anyway, it's just go ahead.
I'll have to say something as far as that, and I'm a little bit just bent right now because I don't know. It is really weird. I think maybe I heard Tim say this. I was trying to listen in for a second before I came in. I've never seen a fan base. We are such a spoiled little bratty fan base.
It's so true, man.
I looked, and I'm not trying to. If anybody here that is in the Facebook group, I'm not trying to talk smack. I think I may have been a part of starting it. Whatever. I was very involved in the Facebook group. I had to leave that. I could not be a part of it anymore because people are so vicious. You're so brutal. Like talking so much crap. Like, and all I said at the end of the game was I said I've never seen a bunch of fan bases, and this is on a thread where 300 some odd people commented, and one of them is somebody that's a very known critic of this. Whatever, it's fine. Honestly, this is the whole point of this podcast, in my opinion.
Do you know why he's a critic, Jacob?
We have differing views.
He's a critic because he liked to disagree with 100% of what we said on the show. So I just blocked him. Like, I ain't gonna listen to this. Like,
that's fine. So obviously he has a way. He's found a different avenue. So he's so hungry for this content that he'll come back and he'll post about it in an avenue that we don't have the ability to talk. Or maybe half of us do, but whatever. That's not the point. My point is that, like, if you're that butthurt about being in a certain way, like, I don't understand that mindset of being a fan. If quote unquote you're a fan, if you're able to, I'm sitting here. This whole podcast is a point of taking constructive criticism. Like, I want to have a debate because honestly, if you can sit here across from me in like 5 minutes, if you can tell me that I'm wrong, I'd like to know that I'm wrong. I don't know where I got crazy wrong growing up. Like when I was a little kid, I grew up and like if I thought something, I remember when I was a kid, I thought the dumbest stuff. I thought chocolate milk came from brown cows, and then someone sat me down. They're like, and this is why I thought cucumbers came from a cucumber plant until like I was way too old for y'all to know that.
Sorry.
I'm just saying. Sometimes it takes somebody to sit you down and be like, no, bro, that's stupid. And then you acknowledge it and you come to grips with the fact that maybe you were wrong. Maybe they're right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, dude. That's just how I feel.
There's another chat too. Like anytime I have a disagreement with someone and it's just like, first of all, if you do it in a respectful way, we can agree to disagree. It's cool. Yeah. But when someone comes at you and tries to paint you to be this moron, and typically my go-to is, hey, let's hop on a chalk talk. Let's hop on. Let's pull up the tape. Me and Tim do it all the time. Let's pull up the tape. Show me. I want you to show me because dude, we may finish and I'll be going, damn, I didn't see that. You're right, man. I missed that. That could be the case. Mm-hmm. But when you mention that to them, oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, you want me to joke? Okay, got it. Like it's an insult that you're asking someone, hey, let's logically have a conversation. When you get to that point and they buck, now you know. Got it.
I'll say one more. Tim, can I just say one thing quick? Because I will say it. Tim and Clayton, 100%. If you want to know X's and O's, call them, text them. They will tell you literally like why the scheme is this way, what the scheme is called, how many running backs, how many tight ends. These guys actually know football. So if you're going to blanketly just randomly say the guys at PTA don't know what the F they're doing, okay, like Clayton just said, hop on the live stream. We'll go through a 12-man personnel. We'll go through a 13-man. We'll let you talk about what you think we could do differently. We'll watch that. I would love to see it. I don't think that you could do it, but I'd like to see it. So, And I can't do it because I know I can't do it. I admit it. That's what Clayton's good at. That's what Tim's good at. And I'm just sick of all the Packer fans that are out there being like, well, on Monday, you should have done this and ran this call. It's like, okay, well then hop on, tell us what you think. Give me your first 15 plays scripted. And then after that, tell me what personnel you want to run in certain situations. And then I'll listen to you.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's what we talk about all the time.
Ryan inside of me. Ryan got me going.
When you get beyond the whole point of I've got to be right, and you start to break it down to, okay, what actually took place on the field, there's so many things that I had wrong for so many years.
Yeah.
So many things. And it's until you really lower yourself and go, okay, let's actually take the time and look at it. Now, I don't have time to look at it. Well, you damn sure got time to pick everybody else apart about it, right, Tim? Like
I'm sorry if the logic gets in the way of your feelings, but facts don't care about your feelings in the world or in anything else, honestly. Life's tough, get a helmet. But, I really think, though, it's not about when you're not obsessed with being right, you're obsessed with knowing what happened or you want to find out.
Yeah.
You're right, Clayton. It's like when you realize you're wrong, like, oh man, I thought they were in man there, and it's like, no, that was actually a man match, or that was zone. That was, you look at, okay, well, I saw that wrong. What did I read wrong? Now I realize what I read wrong. Now I know why I was wrong. And it's not an obsession about trying to change narrative or set tone or latch onto an opinion. It's about looking at the facts. And, I'm a film nerd. Clayton is a film nerd. That's not a bad thing to be, if you understand I've learned more about football in the last 12 months than I have in the last 12 years because I made an effort to learn football, to study the game. And that's the position that I think, I'm speaking for myself, but that's where I come from with all this. I'll never claim to be an expert. I'll never claim to know more than anyone or anyone else out there. Clayton, I'm with you. I will always defer to current and former players, anyone who's put the pads and the helmet on and gone out there and did it at the NFL level, hell, at the college level, high school level. You played the game. I'm deferring to you because I can learn from you. But if you come from a point of emphasis, day to day where it's about being heard and screaming at people and, you're convinced of your point of view and you're right and you're just going to keep shouting, talking points. Yeah, there's nothing left to do but kind of tune it out because it becomes a distraction when you really are trying to, understand what you're seeing on the field. And hey, I get it when it comes to, being a fan, man. Hey, one thing we all have in common as Packer fans, regardless of our different approaches to it, we are all freaking passionate about this.
Absolutely.
Okay, we love this team. We love this town. We love everything that Green Bay represents. We don't see eye to eye on our approach, and hey, that's okay, right? It's like being in a family, right? You love each other. You don't always like each other. You're not always going to agree.
That's true.
It's just one of those things. It is what it is. I think one of the coolest things about being a part of PTA, man, is just getting to learn and really dig into the inner workings of what it means to watch this game differently. And I don't know. I just think it's really cool, man. And differing perspectives are what you should want, right? If it's cool to gravitate towards a certain type of content, but if you keep putting the same thing in front of your eyes constantly, you're setting yourself up in an echo chamber, and you're not going to get multiple points of view so you can form your own opinion or make the best judgment. So the smartest man in the room is the man who knows he knows nothing. So
that's a fact, man. Ron Samble in the chat says, is there a pop where I can always be right? I think Mandy's figured that out in life. She's always right, man. She doesn't matter what the topic is. She's got me. Yep, you're right, hon. That's
Ron can start that one. Just start it, Ron. Yeah. I'm always right. The podcast.
It's just the second you stop learning, man, that's when you go back. There's no staying the same. You're either getting better or you're getting worse, no matter what it is you're doing, what it is you're pursuing. That's kind of the way I see it. And you were talking about you learned more in the last 12 months, Tim. I started doing this. I really started breaking down the film in 2010. That's when I was like, I'm going to get embedded in this. I want to understand the game at a different level. I've learned more these past 12 months than I have the entire time too, because the game is constantly changing. I bet some people will hear my voice and they're going, well, I'm too far behind the 8 ball. I'll never get caught up. If you jump in right now, you're on an even playing field with anyone else who's breaking down film, because the game is going to change next year. And as long as you stay up to date on those changes, then you're going to be as good as anyone, man.
Yep. You know, my friend Tony was talking. We were talking about this the other day. He was saying that, you know, a lot of us Packer fans we're still viewing the game today the same way we did in the 80s and the 90s and, you know, early 2000s. Like, football is played differently now. Football is coached differently. I mean, the uniforms are different. I mean, everything about this game is different, yet still the same, still rooted in this traditional, you know, American football that we all love. So, you know, as a fan, you've got to, you know, you don't want to go to, you know, it's like if you got your kid in school, you do want your kid reading from a textbook from 1984. You know, it's like probably want the latest edition of the textbook to get the best information. So, you know, us as fans, we have to seek it out. You know, the facts and the truth don't always, you know, just jump out at you. You got to kind of dig and, you know, be willing to learn, make yourself a student.
Definitely. And, you know, you were talking about it being like a community or whatever, what we've created here. I mean, it is. It's like we get on here and talk ball, and we got the chat low. I mean, we had like 90-some people in here just a second ago. If you guys would hit that like button for us so other Packer fans can find this channel, find this content, we appreciate you. But it's like a big family reunion, you know, without the weird uncle. You know what I'm saying? Some guys right now are going, I don't have a weird uncle.
I'm the weird uncle.
I'm gonna tell you something.
If you don't have a weird uncle, you're the weird uncle.
If you don't have a weird uncle, just saying, it's like they say one out of every three guys are ugly, right? You look to your right, look to your left. If you don't see ugly, guess what? You know what I mean? That's the way it is. But Jen Wright in the chat says, Clayton, what books for X's and O's did you suggest? Right here, start with this. I'm just telling you.
Take your eye off the ball.
Yep.
You're probably going, why is that on your desk, Clayton? Because I still go back to it every day. It is like, when you think of like football for dummies, it's not down to that level, because football for dummies, you will literally read half of that book and be like, I tried it. I was like, well, let's go back to scratch here. Scratch one. And went back to step one there and dug into football for dummies. And I made it like a chapter. I'm like, I can't do this. This is a waste of time. But that right there, take your eye off the ball 2.0, Jen, it is money, absolute money. You will begin to do exactly what we're talking about, which is take your eye off the ball. Blood, sweat, and chalk. Sure, that's a good one. The best thing you can do, too, the best teacher that we have, how to read a football defense. There you go. The best thing you can do, we've got so many resources. Like, that's the book, though, Jen. That's the book you want to get, is Take Your Eye Off the Ball by Pat Kerwin. But look at all the YouTube channels we have, man. Now, you've got these same people that are so, you know, they're so right and everyone else is wrong. They will literally go to a former player's YouTube channel, watch them break something down, and disagree with it. It's like, how in the world do you think you understand this game better than someone who has played it at the NFL level? Like, it's mind-boggling. It's absolutely mind-boggling. So, anyway, this was a fun conversation. I expected us to get into the PFF grades again, but the chat was just on fire, man. And this is look at this.
See you tomorrow for Good Morning Lambeau.
Yeah, little shameless plug there, right, Tim? I will say this, though, since we're on the subject, bang. BetUS is the official sports book of Packers Total Access Live. Appreciate them jumping on board with us. If you guys would, if you want to support the stream, you go, Clayton, I don't have any. I ain't got enough money to buy a cup of coffee. You ain't got to. But if you click on the link in the description of this video, you can go to their website and register as a customer for free, and that will actually put us in better standing with BetUS, being the official sports book of Packers Total Access. Again, last week, this is kind of cool. PFF had the line at Packers 4-point favorites, and you could get it 4.5, right? Carolina plus 4.5 in that game. I'm not suggesting you ever bet against the Green Bay Packers. That's something I don't find joy in. But just to kind of show you, this is what their interface looks like. You could have took Carolina plus 4.5. Obviously, they ended up losing by, what was it, 3 points, guys? Is that what it was? 3-point difference?
Yep.
So Vegas was all over it again within 1.5. So, again, go check them out. That's BetUS, the official sports book of Packers Total Access Live. We appreciate them. They're celebrating their 30th year in business as America's favorite sports book. So
I don't normally bet, but when I bet US.
Yeah, right here. Greg, Jankowski says, "Is BetUS legal in Wisconsin? Check with your local lawyer. Okay, don't take my word for it." Oh, Jacob, what did you? Nope, don't say it again. It's okay. Let's just say if you ain't cheating, you ain't
That
trying.
Was a sneeze.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Omer says Clayton needs it. He's poor like me. He has LOL. I bet Omer's sitting over there in France with just sitting on a. I don't even know what's their currency over there. What would the currency be in France?
I don't know, but it's not doing good.
Is it? He said, "I don't know, but it's not doing."
U.S. dollar ain't doing so hot either. There, Jason.
No, that's my point, bro. It ain't all.
What y'all talking about? We're building back better. Y'all need to quit complaining.
Shh, give me some gold, bro.
You sure about that?
You sure about that? Give me some gold.
Eric Sutherland says, "My weird uncle like to." Hey, never mind.
Oh my God, Eric.
I don't know why I do that.
Oh no.
God,
Eric is the PTA posse weird uncle.
He said it was on his mom's side. The last name was Epstein. Oh, there you go.
It was a tropical.
That's wild times. We need to do a separate podcast sometime just for conspiracies, just to talk about this world that we live in. My God. But we got live footage of Eric's weird uncle.
Нет, скажи за Россию. За Россию. Пью за медведя. За Россию. За Россию только. You call me anything you want, but don't call me that.
I swear I know a half a dozen people back home in Harlan County, Kentucky that talk just like that.
And they got that Kentucky waterfall too.
Oh, you know it. Are you kidding me? Yeah, they've got kids they don't know about. I promise you that.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's go around the horn here. We're at 1 hour and 6 minutes, and this is, like I said, man, this has been cool. This is a different change of pace. I'm glad we got to have this conversation, and hopefully we hit on everybody's opinion when it comes to Jair and all that. I'm glad y'all brought up what Ryan said. I'm going to go listen to that pod. Love the Packernet podcast, man. It's if you had asked me 3 years ago, you think you'd be a part of the Packer Podcast Network, I'd be like, you're high. Which leads me to my next point. Don't smoke crack. But anyway, let's go around the horn here real quick, Tim. I'm getting tired, man. What you got, dude?
Hey, man, just more of the same. You know, I never thought I would be here talking ball with you guys, and I'm just grateful to be a part of the conversation, and just happy to be here to learn and you know, share my thoughts. Again, not an expert, but you know, you're really the first person to reach out, Clayton, and want to hear what I had to say talking ball. So I really respect you for that and opening up your platform to me and, you know, welcome me in. And Jacob, you just, you know, having my back and just, you know, being good friends and good co-hosts, man, this is a great place to be. And, you know, the chat is always lit, you know, the PTA posse, this is what we're here for, guys. You know, you see it, you got to say it. We can learn together. We can agree to disagree. And, you know, everyone's got their own point of view, and this is a place that we allow those points of views to be addressed and shared. And I just love being here, man. Looking forward to another show tomorrow morning, and hopefully breaking down PFF numbers at some point from this game, from this Packers victory. I feel like I need to remind everyone we did, in fact, win the game.
Exactly. Yes. That's what's crazy. I was literally hanging out downstairs eating dinner earlier, and I was like, crap, I got to do a chalk talk. I ain't even started on it. So the week's getting away from us because there's been a lot of talking points, right? But Jacob, what you got, bub?
I mean, yeah, just to echo what Tim said, man. I was 5-6 years ago in the middle of some weird stuff in my life when I found the Packernet podcast. If we're doing like Tim started this, he's kind of like making us do some heartfelt stuff. Couldn't believe that I found a podcast that like actually brought the information that I wanted, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to be a part of this. I don't give a crap if they want me to or not. And then I berated Ryan with a bunch of messages, and then I was able to start doing some stuff for him. And then that, I don't even know how, to be honest, I met Clayton, but me and Clayton and Timmy started this, and I tell you what, dude, we got to start something here. It's going to be good. And we're not taking ourselves too seriously here, guys. Like this is going to be the podcast where we just talk a bunch of smack about all the smack that's being talked about us. And we're going to try to pepper in some really good details. I hope that this year encapsulated helped you guys become better Packer fans, and going into next year, I think that honestly, it's going to be even better. And I can't wait to hang out with you guys. It's going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's the off season is going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. Jen Wright in the chat says my side hurts. LMFAO. We all know what that means. Number one Packer fan says sipping on Knob Creek, laughing at y'all.
Can I
Have a little sip for us.
say one thing more, Clayton?
Yeah, man.
Sorry. I'm just looking. All right, right there, Dennis. Dennis said, Clayton and Tim, I really hate you guys are dealing with these issues. I hope that you guys understand how much we appreciate everything you do and how much we miss you too, Jacob. So thank you for that. Just in the last like 2 months, me personally and like 4 or 5 other people I know have dealt with so much pain and loss of dealing with fentanyl, drug overdoses, men losing their lives because they're freaking out over stuff, and just I'm not trying to get too whatever, but just talk to people if you need help, and don't be afraid, because whatever your thing is, dude, I've dealt with being an alcoholic. I've dealt with having troubles with money, with confidence, with depression, everything, man. Just please, if you need something, just call somebody. Call us. Message one of us. I guarantee you, if you message anybody at the Packernet podcast and you tell them you have a problem, I promise you, this is my goal. And I, without even talking to these gentlemen right here, I will 100% guarantee you that this is our goal. We will help you. 100%. We will help you. Promise you.
Yep. That's what it's all about, man.
Absolutely.
Silly little sport that brings people together, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, everything you said just now, it really hits home with me too. And you guys know I've been pretty open about talking about that, the losses and everything. Jacob, we've in a roundabout way told the listeners, hey, look, Jacob's dealing with personal stuff. And you pretty much laid it out there just now. So never want to tell that story for you, but we tried to give you space. That was the goal. Didn't want to put pressure on you, but I want to put enough pressure on you to let you know, hey, look, you're not going to slip away. Like, you're going to know you're welcome here, and we enjoy talking ball with you, dude. So it is, man. Hey, listen, some people think, oh, this is kind of heavy. If this is too heavy for you, find another pod. You know, I'm not trying to be mean, but we're creating a group of people that actually give a rip about each other. We want to learn football together. We want to understand the Packers at the highest level possible, and be the most knowledgeable fans. Not so you can dunk on people, but so you can have a logical conversation with someone about what's actually happening on the field. And on top of that, you can pull more people in too.
And we would all agree it's bigger than just ball too. You know, like Jacob was saying, man, you know, there's the human factor always, you know, right, Clayton, that's the old business adage. Oh, it's just business. It's never personal. It's like, yeah, but it's always personal. You know, life is a real thing, and we all have our things that we deal with in our life. And, you know, if you can find common ground with people and a good place to be and share ideas, share thoughts, like Jacob said, you know, you need someone to reach out and talk to. Maybe it's not about football. Maybe it's about, you know, something in your personal life. Hey, whatever. That's what building community is, right? And we're just doing it in a unique way, centered around this game and this team that we love. So,
absolutely, man. Eric Sutherland in the chat. We'll wrap it up with this. Said football talk and laughs, food for the soul. No doubt about it.
You don't get over by Eric's house, take away that thermometer.
Hey, throw that. Don't reuse it, Eric. All right, don't reuse it.
At least disinfect it.
Yeah, hey,
he's probably got one of them old mercury thermometers.
Oh yeah. Hey, all kidding. I really do love all of you. Thank you so much, and Tim and Clayton, you guys literally have made this whole year so much better than I thought it could be. So
yeah, absolutely, man. Appreciate you, buddy. Donovan in the chat said PTA tailgate at Lambeau, our last game of the year.
Hey, we should do that.
Man, y'all gonna talk me into it. Hey, I pretty much made the decision.
Checking flights on the other screen right now.
Yeah, y'all gonna talk me into it. Nah, we've kind of made the decision, you know, that we're not gonna go this year. But I mean, that's the only thing that would drag me up there is getting to hang out with everybody. When we do come back up, we're gonna do something like that for sure. It's gonna be, let's all meet at 1919 Kitchen and Tap and let's shut the place down.
Hey, we should do that now. We should actually give it like 6 months of planning time so people can actually do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And I just actually got a message on my phone just a second ago where someone, I won't say the name or anything, but essentially what they said, I'll paraphrase, it was a long message, but it was something along the lines of, when other podcasters are joking about suicide and telling listeners to commit suicide, you guys are talking about the real stuff. So I'm glad that does hit home with people. And that's not to put anybody else down. That's why we never mention names, but that's something that's important to me for sure. So But with that being said, let's get out of here. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. You guys were awesome. Want to thank United Bates, always being a blessing. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. We appreciate you supporting the stream. Want to thank everybody in the PTA posse. If you want to join the posse, just go to our homepage on YouTube, click join. That's how you can join the group. That'll enter you into a contest to win autographed memorabilia moving forward. We got some cool jerseys we're going to be giving away. Obviously, we just had a giveaway, kind of a giveaway set up for Matt Ramage. Has a coworker who, unfortunately, their little girl is going through leukemia. I believe there's what she's battling. And we had a goal of $5,000. What I did was donated in honor of Packernet Podcast an autographed Paul Hornung jersey. And anyone who donated to that cause is going to be entered into a contest to win that autographed jersey as just kind of an extra bonus in helping people. And sounds like the goal was set at 5,000. We're now like over 6,200. So you guys absolutely crushed it. I want to thank y'all so much. Listen, this is football. We all get heated over it. We get passionate over it. We're screaming like little kids when things are going good. We're kicking and screaming like kids when things are going bad. But at the end of the day, it's about helping people, helping each other, raising each other up, and just having a good time while we do it. So really appreciate y'all hanging out with us. As always, let's go out and be the change that we want to see in the world, and go Pack Go.
The power sweep. Actually, it's the lead play in our offense. We ask our YN or a tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet. Get an isolation with the linebacker. Tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.